beautiful Monday morning in the city of Abeokuta, capital of Ogun State. Another day again with a date which we bring to you newspaper headlines today in the state and what is happening across the nation. And to the beautiful time that we're having our democracy anniversary once again, which the president elected, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has spoken with Nigerians at large, telling them the importance of democracy there. My name is Morire Rabila Lawal, and we'll bring to you again the occurrences that happened during the weekend from Friday till today concerning the arrest of the suspended CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, and the suspension given to NNPCL chairman Mele Kyari. All of these actors who were there at the ends of affairs, doing what they think they can do without any powers against them. They are all facing the wrath of the law, and many are still counting. My name still remains Morire Rabila Lawal, alongside my usual co-presenter.
It's my pleasure this morning as I welcome all our viewers across the globe to today, June 12th, 2023. My name remains Ige Olalekon, and as we take you through the dailies for this morning, with me, I have the Nation newspaper and the Daily Post.
I'm having the Punch and the Vanguard, and the first rider is Democracy Day. Tinubu hails MKO Abiola, promises to ease subsidy removal pains.
I'm going through the Nation newspaper. Why we must defend our democracy, says Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
On a good note, like I want to say, because some people will be thinking if I'm against Emefiele, I'm not against Emefiele. I'm against the policy that killed so many Nigerians. DSS seizes Emefiele's passport, plans home office search.
I will repay subsidy pains with dividends of democracy, and that is talking about Tinubu.
Also, there was a pardon that happened from Niger State. Niger governor pardons 80 inmates for Democracy Day.
I'm going through the Daily Post for this morning. 10th NAS, PDP dominance end in Southeast. LP emerges leading force.
We have numerous riders on the newspapers this morning. The next one is Presidency backs Christian Senate President Betara Gaji step down.
And I also have this. Nigerian'S, you are a drowning man. Rep Naji replies Sirika bribery allegations.
We must never take democracy for granted. Tinubu, this is coming from Vanguard.
And going through the papers in full, I have this from the Daily Post. 10th NAS PDP dominance end in Southeast. LP emerges leading force. The Southeast region of Nigeria, historically known as the stronghold of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), has witnessed a significant shift in political dynamics in the 10th Assembly for over 2 decades since the advent of democracy in 1999. The PDP had maintained its dominance in the region. However, recent developments have led to a decline in the party's influence, with the emergence of the Labour Party as a formidable contender. The first crack in the PDP's hold on the Southeast came in 2003 when Peter Obi of the All Progressive Grand Alliance was inaugurated as the governor of Anambra State. Obi's victory marked the first time a non-PDP member assumed the governorship in the region. The subsequent rise of the People's Progressive Alliance (PPA), led by Orji Kalu, posed a significant challenge to the PDP's dominance in the Southeast. And according to the rider, 10th NAS, PDP dominance ends in Southeast. LP emerges leading force.
I'm beginning from the Vanguard newspaper with the rider, an interesting one. But my question to the writer and the person speaking is a former head of state, President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, used June 12th as lesson to drive Nigeria's development. Clark, IBB Atiku Obi, Ghana, others. Now my take is this, Ige.
Okay.
It is a very sound message to Nigerian leaders. But per se, the speaker himself, if he knew all of this, why did he annul deliberately the victory of June 12th presidential election, 1993?
And just like you said, Moriri Rabila, if you look at it, I don't think former president Badamasi Babangida is in the position to have made such a statement, because he was even the architect of the annulment of that election.
The engineer.
Exactly, of that election. And I think Nigerians should see the sincerity of those who are ready to put the country back in shape. You know, it's just like you listen to the message and don't consider what the messenger says. That is what I see to that statement.
All right, I will agree to your submission, and my own take is this: it is a shameful statement or shameful news coming out from the mouth of the sole engineer that killed so many Nigerians and that killed the first democratically elected president of the country, who is MKO Abiola. And also, it is a good one from IBB speaking this way, because he has already seen it all.
Exactly.
That yes, what is next for me than to try to bribe my way through the hearts of Nigerians, because he is truly undergoing and experiencing the wrath of let me say humanity.
Exactly.
At large.
Karma.
Yes, karma.
Exactly.
Because if he hadn't done what he had done, if he hadn't annulled the June 12th election, by now we should be celebrating the hero
Exactly.
and the efforts of our heroes past. And till date, if he can come out to speak that yes, he is so grateful to God Almighty to spare his life till the victory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I see no reason why others who see themselves as father of the nation, killing the nation secretly, killing the nation selfishly, killing the nation through our crude oil, killing the nation thinking they have done the best for Nigerians, and they are there, on earth, and living as if no one can query them.
Exactly.
The victory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu significantly brought smiles and happiness and succor to those that are still living, who have experienced June 12, 1993, from Awolowo, from MKO, and 2023 of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I accept what IBB have said, and to me, there are some times that we do some actions and realize our mistakes. This is a mistakes realization from IBB himself. It's a good one, but let me have the story. As Nigerians celebrate the 30th anniversary of the June 12, 1993 presidential poll, President Bola Tinubu has said that Nigerians must never take democracy for granted, noting that the winner of the June 12, 1993 annulled presidential election, Chief MKO Abiola, sacrificed his life for it. In his 1,467 word broadcast to the Nation on Democracy Day today, which came up from 7 a.m., Tinubu, who noted that June, the abortion by military fiat of the decisive victory of Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola of the defunct Social Democratic Party, SDP, in the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Up to that time, the first election in the country's political evolution.
Exactly.
Said the move led by a prolonged struggle that led to the return to democracy in 1999, I beg your pardon. Tinubu spoke as a host of eminent citizens, have urged the leaders to use lessons learned from the annulled historic election to develop the country. I pray to God Almighty for all Nigerians to understand the messages from the president. The rider is
just
again
to add to what you said. You know, if we look at the antecedents, we will discover that during the time of Babangida regime,
yes,
you know, he made a lot of policies that really had a negative impact on this country.
yes,
Are we talking about the structural adjustment program, which Fela later coined as SAP? You understand, whereby
yeah.
you know, Nigerians were facing a lot of difficulties, and as at that point in time, that was when he was able to build empires around just few people that enriched themselves. And up till date, Nigeria has not been able to break out of that chain. So for him to have said that, I don't think, although he made a good statement, but the truth of the matter is, We just have to listen to the message.
Not
And
the writer.
we forget about the messenger.
Alright. Use June 12 as lesson to drive Nigeria's development. Clark, IBB, Atiku, Obi, Ghana, others. Who is speaking? President-elect. That's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay, let's go through the Nation newspaper. Why we must defend our democracy by Tinubu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu this morning reminded Nigerians of the sacrifice made to attain democracy, saying everything must be done to defend it. In a 25-paragraph Democracy Day broadcast aired on television and radio station, he said the sacrifice made by the winners of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, the late Chief Moshood Abiola and others, must not be in vain. The president also urged Nigerians to expect a better deal from his administration in the months to come. President Tinubu said judicial reform had begun in a bid to strengthen the rule of law, reinstated why petrol subsidy had to go. He said the subsidy mostly benefited a few people and was unsustainable. According to the president, democracy did not come in a platter, especially given the sacrifice of heroes of the June 12 struggles. And according to the writer once again, why we must defend our democracy by Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay, to the next story this time again. I'm coming from the Vanguard newspaper. The story still takes it from the June 12 stories, but if it's not coming up, I will need to move straight to the Punch newspaper this morning. As expected, the first rider, Democracy. Tinubu hails MKO Abiola promises to ease subsidy removal pains. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday today hailed the winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, Chief MKO Abiola. He described the late businessman who died in suspicious circumstances after his elections was annulled by the late General Sani Abacha as a symbol of democracy. Tinubu, who acknowledged the hardship being faced by Nigerians in the aftermath of the fuel subsidy removal, said his administration will reward their sacrifices with massive investment in transportation, infrastructure, education, regular power supply, healthcare, and other public utilities that will improve their quality of life. The president, who said he identified with the pain of Nigerians, argued that the temporal discomfort was necessary to save the country from going under. I feel your pain. This is one decision we must bear to save our country from going under and take our resources away from the strange hold of a few unpatriotic elements who they know themselves. Tinubu said in his maiden Democracy Day address to Nigerians as president. In his inaugural speech on May 29, the president stated that subsidy can no longer justify its ever-increasing cost in the wake of drying resources. Therefore, it had to go. The writer again from the Punch newspaper, Democracy Day. Tinubu hails MKO Abiola, promises to ease subsidy removal pains.
And from the Nation newspaper, I will repay subsidy pains with dividends of democracy. And that is according to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has promised to repay the trust and mandate of Nigerians with dividends of democracy. He said the removal of fuel subsidy was to free up the massive resources of the nation in the pockets of a few rich, admitting it posed temporary pains on the masses. He, however, said the sacrifice will be repaid with provision of infrastructure, transportation, education, and others to lift the standard of living. Tinubu, on his maiden democracy speech to mark the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential poll won by the late Chief MKO Abiola, said, "Painfully, I have asked you, my compatriots, to sacrifice a little more for the survival of our country, for your trust and belief in us. I assure you that your sacrifice shall not be in vain. The government I led will repay you through massive investment in transportation, infrastructure, education, regular power supply, healthcare, and other public utility that will improve the quality of life." And according to the writer, I will repay subsidy pains with dividends of democracy.
The Department of State Services has confiscated the passport of the suspended Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele. The service, it was also lent may search Emefiele's home and office this week, following his suspension on Friday as a result of the ongoing investigation of his office and the planned reforms in the financial sector. The service arrested Emefiele in Lagos and flew him to Abuja in a private jet on Saturday. The spokesperson for the service, Peter Afunaya, in a statement said Emefiele had been taken into custody and was undergoing investigation. However, a source in the DSS on Sunday said it was standard procedure for his travel document to be seized pending the conclusion of the ongoing investigation. The man that directs and acts as unchallenged, that no one can question him, is now in the custody of the DSS. The pains, the agony behind the new currency policy and the printing. If you could use trillions to print a certain amount of naira, just the ink and the paper, which a video going on now, viral video, stating an honorable from Jigawa States, Honorable something Adeja, saying that it was a deliberate act to bring up the new currency.
Redesigning.
The redesigning. Secondly, their major aim was not actualized. Just to cover up some looting which they feel and felt there might be question about it or arrest coming up for investigation. But all the same, can you use a 10,000 naira to prepare a soup of 5,000 naira?
That is so funny.
Nigerians.
You know, Morire, there's one thing I come to realize that, you know, at times I don't know, when they make policies, I think policies are meant for the masses and are meant to improve the life of the people. Looking at the having a flashback on the controversy that surrounded the issue of the arrest that led to the arrest of the governor of the suspended governor of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele. You know, you come to realize that there have been a lot of controversies in terms of this issue of naira redesigning. Was not, you know, just like you said, it was intentional. And apart from that, looking at other areas, he has the president as in his backing when he was doing all those things. And I believe that even he was supposed to be checkmated, but I think he was given the free hand to operate.
Exactly.
And he should have known within himself that this thing I'm doing, there will always be a repercussion, because the successive government will always want to make a investigation into how the transaction or other things have been from their successor and things like that. But you know, I just see it as some, even apart from that, I also saw one video that was going viral when the DSS, you know, had to go to Emefiele's house.
One of his houses.
And see a lot of flashy cars, and what is he doing with all those things? Those are the money meant for Nigerian taxpayers' money, and what they are using in getting all those stuff and things like that. And you tell Nigerians the money is not there.
In addition to your claim and submission, which I respect very well, to the search on his house, suspended CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, Nigerians should stop the idea of bringing in culture and ethnicity and religion when someone is being queried and undergoing an investigation. If it's free and fair, let the investigation go on till its end. Then we'll realize who is at fault. Secondly, if Emefiele was to be a good man, what are tricycles doing in his house? What are those flashy cars doing in his house? We have a lot of former head of states, both dead and living, and their houses are not even are not even 50% compared to what Emefiele is enjoying. All of the tricycles in Emefiele's house are written boldly, ambulance. On whose authority should an ambulance be in a CBN governor's house? If not from the looting, their regular trademark, then leave sorrow, tears and blood, says by the late Afrobeat king.
Fela Anikulapo.
Exactly. His mother was killed from a trench by some governments who are still living and some are dead.
Unknown soldier.
Unknown soldier. Who are the unknown soldiers? If they are not the managers who see themselves as leaders of Nigeria.
Exactly.
In conclusion again, look at those luxurious cars in his house. If I'm permitted to speak Yoruba, I can say, Jo kilo fe fi se. No, it's so shameful.
I even saw a quote where someone wrote something that maybe he's planning that as soon as he
leaves office that he will go into selling of cars,
a car dealer or things like that.
There are few limousines in his house.
Exactly. I think I saw that. These
cars are meant for some are maybe kings, but a governor just for you to be there and do the needful according to constitution. In addition, again, everything coming through the finance ministry. By the former finance minister, she claimed that she doesn't even have idea of the budget for CBN as a finance minister and a budget planning minister.
You see that?
And no one is even questioning all of the money budgeted for CBN in the last 8 years into your long. To your long, waiting we do these people now.
I was even about to come in from something you just mentioned in the area of nepotism and tribalism. Earlier yesterday morning there was this a press release that was written by the Ohaneze Ndigbo.
Okay.
That the federal government is trying to be tribalistic on the way they handle
things.
The issue of Godwin Emefiele and things like that. Like 2 hours later, I still saw the body of Ohaneze Ndigbo came out and said that
debunking it.
They said what the federal government had done is they are in support of it and things like that, and they really commended it that Godwin Emefiele had allowed the previous government to just use him, the cabals, you understand, to use him in destroying himself and things like that. Then I think it was late in the evening yesterday, I still saw another press release whereby some Ndigbo group were saying that the appointment of Shonubi was wrong, that they were supposed to have appointed Obiora, that he was supposed to be the next to Godwin Emefiele and not Shonubi and things like that. But I think we are still going to look into that very well so that we can have more robust discussion on that.
Nigeria remains a country whereby if an Hausa man is number one, every other commissions, ministry, agencies, MDAs, they will have Hausas as number one. If an Igbo man is to be at the ends of affairs the number one citizen in the country, we should expect the same. As the Yoruba man is there right now, if Emefiele's actions and doings doesn't need any investigation or to be probed, he would have remained the CBN governor.
But the question I want to ask is, if they are complaining that it was when Tinubu came into power that he was being trying to be a tribalistic person, who was the president of Nigeria when they treated the fuck up of Tafa Balogun? Was it not Obasanjo?
Exactly. See,
do you understand me? So why are they now going all and saying that
Igbos will
things
rant.
Like this?
The Igbos will rant because that's their ideology. They support themselves either through corruption, either through fairness. That's their natural instincts. I'm not abusing them, but I'm only explaining
I understand.
what they are.
You are right.
Then secondly, if they had knew that the former administration used Emefiele, why didn't they call Emefiele into the Ndigbo as the apex Igbo socio-cultural group?
Exactly.
Guy, if this administration finishes, you're alone on your own. Mind how you dispense the actions given to you. But now that it's been dealt with, they are crying fouls. They are crying their crocodile tears. They are ranting. They will react. So be it. And the rider from Emefiele is that DSS seizes Emefiele's passport, plans home office search. And the second rider from the Punch newspaper this morning, which I'm going to, is from the presidency on Sunday explained its decision to back a Christian as a Senate president. It explained that Nigeria could not afford to have a Muslim as a Senate president at this time, having produced Muslims as president and vice president. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who said these at a dinner with lawmakers across the party lines in Abuja on Saturday night, noted that the party came up with the consensus ticket of Senator Godswill Akpabio as Senate President and Jibrin Barau as Deputy in the interest of the stability of the country. Shettima said these as two aspirants for the position of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aliyu Beitara and Yusuf Gaji, were reported to have stepped down. I love this statement because we always put religion ahead of everything we do in Nigeria. But if truly we are religious, we shouldn't be having this banditry, unknown gunmen, sponsors for insurgency in the country, embezzlement, killings, reckless killings,
nepotism, tribalism,
and all of that. And the rider comes again. Presidency-backed Christian Senate President Betara Gaji stepped down. On the Punch newspaper.
I'm going through the Daily Post. I have this. Nigerian Air, you are a drowning man. Rep Unaji replies Sirika, bribery allegation. A House of Representative member, Honorable Nolim Unaji, has reacted to the allegation by former Aviation Minister Aji Sirika regarding Nigerian Air. At a public hearing, Unaji described the controversial project as a fraud and condemned the use of an Ethiopia Airlines registered aircraft during the launch in May. On Sunday, Sirika alleged that the former House Committee Chairman on Aviation asked him for 5% equity shares in the national carrier. In response, Unaji called Aji Sirika a drowning man and advised him to tell citizens the truth about the conscriptions he sold to us as Nigerian Air. Unaji recalled that his committee was indicted with petition from stakeholders after the announcement of Ethiopia Airlines as the core investors. And according to the rider, Nigerian Air, you are a drowning man. Rep Unaji replies Sirika, bribery allegation.
A good one. Because when all of these actions was underground, unknown to Nigerians, no one knew the feud between their two.
Exactly.
And if Ali Sirika was to be a responsible minister, he wouldn't have involved himself in a shady deal by repainting an aircraft that belongs to Ethiopian Airlines, bringing it to Nigeria, claiming this is the Nigerian Air for the administration to enjoy their dividends and faithfulness concerning the promise they made to bring back Nigeria Air. Now, secondly, you brought in an aircraft that carries the Nigerian flag and the Nigerian name as a logo on it, and you claim that the repainting goes with huge sum of amounts of naira, and also it is owned by Nigeria. Later on, there was an information that resurfaced by saying Nigerian government is having so percentage, as Ethiopia is having so percentage. Same thing that happened again. Information came out that this same aircraft flew from Ethiopia to Addis Ababa, from Addis Ababa to some places across Africa and across some other countries, and you are claiming it is an aircraft owned by Nigeria. It should be coming from the company that produced it.
Exactly.
Straight to Nigeria. There shouldn't be any stopover anywhere. There shouldn't be any traveling in between the transaction of the business. Adi Sidika should be ashamed of himself that he was given an assignment and he failed by looting. And also, merging airports together is another part of investigation that needs to be carried on.
Exactly.
And if a rep is accusing Adi Sirika for corruption, there was something that happened between the two. Because Adi Sirika was claiming that the so-called rep chairman concerning the aviation, Energy,
yes,
was requesting
for 5% cut.
You should expect that.
Because if you recall, this was exactly what happened between Farouk in the House of Rep then and Otedola. You understand?
Exactly.
There was a bribery scandal, and the CCTV was able to capture it. So I expect Aji Sereka to produce an evidence against Energy for Nigerians to be convinced that truly there was a conspiracy between and some other hidden things between them.
If you could bring out an evidence as regards that, then you should bring all of the documents that procure these aircrafts.
Exactly.
And on the last story for today, before I go to the sports, if time permits, Governor Umaru Bago of Niger State has pardoned 80 inmates in various correctional centers in the state. The governor also approved the immediate payment of their fines to enable the inmates to rejoin their families. A statement by Al-Aji Abubakar Usman, secretary to the state government in Mina, on Monday said that the gesture was to mark the 2023 Democracy Day. I wish all of the freed inmates a success and a change in their lifetime, and to have good meaning to themselves and those around them. From that story, I want to go to sports story because we recorded huge victories across the weekend. Number one is coming from the Champions League, which we already have the winner already since the weekend. UEFA has unveiled the Champions League team of the season for the 2022-2023 season. Real Madrid's goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois is the shot stopper selected between the sticks. Manchester City, who went all the way to win their first ever title, have 7 players included in the starting 11. Inter Milan have 2 defenders in the squad. The team of the season includes goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, Real Madrid. The defenders, Kyle Walker, Man City, Ruben Dias, Man City, Alessandro Bastoni, Inter, Federico De Marco, Inter, midfielders John Stones, Man City, Kevin De Bruyne, Man City, Rodri, Man City, the goal scorer for the first ever UEFA Champions League victory for Man City, and forward Bernardo Silva, Man City, Erling Haaland, Man City, Vinicius Junior, Real Madrid. Victory to Man City for winning their first ever European Champions League Cup. And also there is another story which I just want to say concerning the great legend and his legacy, coming from the writer. As the country celebrates Democracy Day in honor of the winner of the June 12 presidential election, Moshood Abiola writes about during an interview in 1992 after he was inducted into the African Football Hall of Fame and honored by the Confederation of African Football with an Order of Merit in Gold Award, the continental football body's highest honor. The late Chief Moshood Abiola sounded prophetic words to end of his interactive session with journalists. Only Nigeria refused to honor me, but I'm sure they will do that one day, Abiola stated. From that story, I want to say credit to the sports from the Confederation of African Football, and from the prophetic statement, only Nigeria refused to honor me, but I'm sure they will do that one day, Abiola stated. The whole of Africa has done so. What else do I want? That is from late MKO Abiola. What will be your advice from these prophetic words to the living Nigerians who have been squandering and killing Nigerians?
Well, I think it should be a great shame on Nigerians for Abiola to have made such statement, because of the fact that we know that Abiola has really invested in football, and when you consider, sports as in general, but when you consider some of the unifying factors that we have in Nigeria, I think sport is one of it.
Yes,
whereby that is one of the things that bring joys and bring happiness to Nigerian faces. So, and I hope that this administration will deem it fit, you understand, to make sure that maybe they try to set up some things in memory of the late Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, to honor him in the respect of the area of sporting events and things like that. Because I could remember the days of Abiola Babes and some other, league, and he has also supported, even as at then, he was really able to make impact in the Nuga game, whereby all universities and polytechnic had their football games and things like that. So it is expected of the government to make sure that, and at the same time, I also, the private sector are not left behind. They should also do something about this to make sure that at least we uphold the legacy he left behind when you talk in terms of sporting events in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you for watching today's episode on Newspaper Headline today from BGI TV Current. For more updates of our broadcast, our handle on YouTube is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell, select option all to access all of our broadcasts. And on Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow all of our broadcasts. And also for advert placement of your goods and services, coverage of events and functions, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen, especially when you have an advert placement with us. And also, I just want to say a wonderful Democracy Day celebration to Nigerians and to the country at large, that yes, God should bring and heal Nigerians from all of the pains and agony. My name remains Morire Rabila Lawal.
And it has been a lovely time going through the dailies with you this morning. And I believe and I hope if you enjoy it, you join us again tomorrow. My name remains Ige Olalekon. I say bye bye.